Good morning. Welcome to our thought for the day, this 20th of December. And our reading this morning is taken from Psalm 46, and I'm reading in the New Revised Standard Version. God is our refuge and strength, a very present help in trouble. Therefore we will not fear, though the earth should change, though the mountains shake in the heart of the sea, though its waters roar and foam, though the mountains tremble with its tumult. There is a river whose streams make glad the city of God, the holy habitation of the Most High. God is in the midst of the city, it shall not be moved. God will help it when in the morning dawns. The nations are in an uproar, the kingdoms totter. He utters his voice, the earth melts. The Lord of hosts is with us. The God of Jacob is our refuge. Come, behold the works of the Lord. See what the desolations he's brought on the earth. He makes wars cease to the ends of the earth. He breaks the bow and shatters the spear. He burns the shields with fire. Be still and know that I am God. I am exalted among the nations. I am exalted in the earth. The Lord of hosts is with us. The God of Jacob is our refuge. Historically, this psalm was a celebration of the security of Jerusalem as the city of God. I'm sure you can all hear various hymns echoing through your minds. This psalm certainly wasn't the inspiration of Martin Luther's great hymn, "A mighty fortress is our God." In theme, the psalm is closely related to that wonderful Psalm 48 and celebrates God's victorious reign over all the earth. My commentary tells me it was written before they were taken into exile. Whatever the timing, it remains a song of hope and celebrates God's kingdom's eventual triumph. That is the sort of hope we all need today as the pandemic rages. Luther penned his hymn when the Pope and others were raging at him for what he had written. It must have seemed to him as if the nations were all raging against him. There did come to be a shaking of things as a result of what he had written. Over the next century, the unity of the central power of the empire steadily weakened. Everyone could only stand back and wonder about where all the political and religious tumult might lead, and they would have understandably been fearful for the future. The same was true about the opening decades of the 21st century, where there were 2 world wars and the Spanish flu that killed 14 million, I think. If you live in an earthquake or tsunami region, you might appreciate the promise the psalm gives that you can find God in the midst of such an event. In this psalm, there are images of the tumult of the nations. But in Psalm 46, it claims that God is our refuge and strength, a very present help in trouble. The reality is that there will be difficult times, but God promises to be our refuge. When buildings crumble and our world is shaken, some through great sorrow, but God gives us a song in the right season and all day long. Nowhere in the Bible does it talk about the absence of calamity, but God promises his presence in trying times. This pandemic was not the first our nation has faced. Sadly, it will not be the last. But we can always depend on God's presence when tragedy strikes. There is some writing on the walls inside Auschwitz concentration camps that seem to capture this. I believe in the sun, even when it's not shining. I believe in love, even when I'm alone. I believe in God even when He is silent. Even in the midst of tragic circumstance, God is still present, even when it's hard to see or perceive Him. The author must have known this psalm. And Psalm 46 in verse 10 says, "Be still and know that I am God." That is so hard to do when all around you seems to be in disarray. How do we chase out the tumult and just be still? What works for me at times is just to be quiet and just focus on one aspect of God. Let that aspect of His presence draw you out in praise until you are certain that the Almighty is with us. The God of Jacob is our fortress. God promises to be our refuge. He has promised to be with us in the middle of tragedy. Let us be drawn to Him today. God bless you.